What's up, everybody? Dave Hartman here, your host of the Three Gun Show. This is episode 277, and this is a special Match Recon podcast of the 2019 Vortex Shooter Source Three Gun Championship, which is a favorite among many of its faithful shooters, as you'll find out in this podcast here. Joining me for this Match Recon is special field correspondent Tucker Schmidt. In his first appearance on the podcast, Tucker goes through all the recon criteria that we love for Match Recons. And after listening to this recon, you'll agree with me that we got to get Tucker back on because he's a ton of fun. Lots of laughs, happy guy, fun stories from the range. Now, if you haven't heard about the Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun, or VS3G as we like to call it, you'll learn about it in this podcast and why we like it so much. The 2020 match has moved up on the schedule from where it traditionally is, and it will be held March 27th, 28th, and 29th at the Triple C Range in Crescent, Texas. Registration opens up Tuesday, December 10th at 7:30 Central, so mark your calendar because it is one that you don't want to miss. And before we get into the recon, I want to thank everyone that shopped the Three Gun Show's Black Friday sale. The Three Gun Show Pro Shop Black Friday sale. A lot of y'all came out and, not came out. You stayed at home, let's be honest. Probably bought from your phone. But a lot of you bought some great Born Three Gun apparel, some Vortex optics, JP products, Armalite products, all kinds of cool stuff from the Pro Shop. So thank you very much for spending your holiday dollars with the Three Gun Show Pro Shop. And while the sales are gone until next year, the shop is still up and running with great prices on the best three gun gear in the market, including Three Gun Show merch. And we're adding products all the time, so think of the Pro Shop before making your next purchase or your next gear upgrade. That's threegunshowproshop.com. This podcast is brought to you by the good folks at JP Enterprises, the finest rifle components built by people that actually shoot the games that you do. They don't sell gimmicks, just the most accurate and softest shooting rifles that anyone could want, and they do it with a smile. After years of buying select JP parts to finish off my own builds, I finally own a complete JP rifle, an LRP-07 and 6.5 Creedmoor, which I'm actually going to throw on a nice 308 upper on that bad boy and shoot some heavy this year, and specifically Texas 3-gun. It's going to be a good time. I recommend them both. If you want to build yourself a new 3-gun blaster in the off-season, pick up a cryo-treated Supermatch barrel and all the other go-fast parts from JP. If you're not into building it and you just want to buy it now and be ready to race, JP's got you covered there. Either way, visit jprifles.com. That's all I've got for now. So enjoy this Match Recon podcast with Tucker Schmidt. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and this is a Match Recon episode exclusively for patrons of the Three Gun Show with our boy, Tucker Schmidt. Tucker, welcome to the podcast.
Dave, I can't tell you how excited I am to finally be here. But
oh man, I'm really excited to have you, Tucker. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and I kind of took a pause on the Match Recon format in the last part of last year due to some flack that I received from several matches. But we're back, and we're just doing the good matches this year. So here we are.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I know a lot of guys, it costs a lot of money to go to a match, so it's good to get honest intel, I believe, from people that actually shot the match.
You know what, man? I think it is. And of all the things that I've done for the Three Gun Show, this is the one that seems to be getting like the most traction, like the biggest following. People really dig the kind of stuff that we pump out here on the Match Recon, and it's all thanks to dudes like you that want to participate. So thanks for being here, man.
Well, thanks for all today. We all appreciate it.
Cool. Well, since Tucker, this is your first time on the show, man, let's get to know you a little bit here. So why don't you give us the rundown on Tucker Schmidt, the shooter, and let us know who you are, where you're from, how you got into practical shooting.
Sorry, you cut out for just 1 second. Something about practical shooting.
Yeah. Tell us who you are and where you're from and how you got into practical shooting.
Gotcha. So been shooting now for about years competitively. Started with a little sport called IDPA.
Yeah.
Shot that for a total of that's right. That's right. That's usually the reaction. So shot that for a few months, and then a couple guys introduced me to USPSA, and then shortly thereafter 3-gun. Needless to say, there wasn't much IDPA being shot after I found the two of those. A lot less stressful, a lot more shooting, but in the game for a while, and really fun to come up and then try to help some of the younger shooters come along, and it's just really been a fun ride.
Sweet. Well, I totally missed the first part. How long did you say you've been shooting?
5 years or so now. About 5 years.
Well, so how did you?
So I'm a grandpa-ish.
Yeah, you're old school. Once you discovered IDPA and you got to that first match, so what did you think, like, okay, well, this is the only thing out here, so I'm gonna stick with it, or did it like mesh with your style, or did you keep trying to find different sports after that? What brought you to 3-gun eventually?
Yeah, I just met a random dude. Told me, I told him I like shooting. He invited me out to the IDPA match, and I shot that, and I was like, where can I find more of this? Like, I've always wanted to run around and shoot stuff. I knew this stuff existed, but for somebody that's not in the circle, like as many of you probably know, it's kind of hard to find these matches. Like if you really don't know where to look. So I shot this. I searched around, found a few other clubs that would host this kind of thing, and then eventually just meeting other people. One thing I didn't like about IDPA so much was the lack of shoot. I mean, most matches, I believe, are 75, 100 rounds, something like that. And then somebody gave me a little whisper in my ear, hey, come to USPSA, 200-300 rounds. And that's basically kind of what drew me to it. It wasn't really that I hated the rule set or there was crazy people, because really, I mean, everybody in all the formats was pretty inviting, honestly. So it wasn't that bugged me. It was really just I wanted to shoot more, and then 3-gun where I think we shoot the most.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I went to a sniper match with AMAX a couple months ago, and I was surprised like how well engaged I was into like what was happening, given how little we were shooting. Like one stage was like a round. Like,
yeah.
Okay, you're done.
Yep. Yeah, I recently shot my first one. I think it was February or March, the Bushnell Tactical Elite. We had the same thing, one round, and I did love the match, but it was very low rounds, but I still did enjoy it. But we had the same thing, one stage, sit there on the target, and that was your stage. was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're like your context is like a 3-gun match, and then you go to something like that. But I'm surprised like how well engaged I stay. Like I'm not like trying to check out and like, oh, this sucks. It's actually pretty interesting. Maybe it's because it's something new to learn. But yeah, when you get to 3-gun, and especially talking like high round count matches, Vortex Shooter Source pretty much defines that, right?
That is one of the higher ones, and any match that I've been to in Texas does a killer job of these massive stages. Lots of rifle shooting and lots of shooting. Period, really challenging shots, and I do enjoy them for sure for that reason.
Nice. Well, let's jump into it then, Tucker. What match are you here to give us the recon of?
Okay, this match is the 2019 Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun match in Texas. It was May 3rd to May 5th. Time plus points, outlaw style match. They did use practice score. Was a 3-day match. They did 4 stages first day, 4 stages second day, 2 stages the final day. I think the match fee was around $300. 213 shooters registered, 205 finished.
All right, and so the match does run on North Texas multi-gun rule set. Should make that clear because Jeremy does spend a lot of time on those rules. So let's talk divisions and winners. So we had. Did you happen to catch the walkthrough that AMAX and I did? We kind of made a joke about heavy irons, and that there was one guy shooting it. We're like, oh well, you're gonna have to be bumped. Yeah, you're gonna have to be bumped into scope here. And I actually ran into James on the James Moore on the course or on the range, and he said that he's working on his first match win, and that it was his to lose, and that was like second stage the first day.
Well, he sealed the deal. I think he did take the win in that division. So congrats, my man.
Yeah, buddy. Division of 1. Go James. All right. And so then we had heavy optics division as well. 12 shooters in that. Who came up on top there?
Okay, so first we had Justin Morris. Second, we had Craig Stefik. And third, we had Jonathan Gentile.
Nice. So Justin's one of those guys that's kind of lower key. I was talking to him on the range, and he's like, "Yeah, man, the camera's not really my thing." And then he just laid waste to the entire division. So good on him there. All right, moving on.
Those quiet guys. Quiet guys, you got to watch out for.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all those guys beating their own drums, they end up short. But then
that's right.
The quiet dude in the back, he's gonna ninja you. All right.
That's right.
Limited division. We had 16 shooters in limited division, which it's a lot of shooters for a match well known for its rifle targets.
Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right. You know, he's definitely known for putting a ton of long range targets on one stage. And somebody asked me if I was willing to shoot irons at this match, and a simple no would do. Irons here. But so basically, we had a third place little junior fellow there, Riley Cropped. I think he had a rough last stage, which is always a crapper because he was crushing it. And then the very last stage, I think he forgot 4 targets, the paper down below the deck, and had some problems on the long range too, I believe. But bummer, but still third place, strong finish. Darren Zapita, he's been to fellow Vortex fella. In second place, and my good buddy Joe Easter from Team Caltech took the win.
Shooting traditional irons.
Traditional iron. So this knucklehead thought it was a good idea to go shoot the Rifle World Shoot, IPSC, I think this year in Sweden. And so for the last 12 months or so, he has actually been shooting the real irons. You know, I don't know if I can line those up even on camera, but dude is it. And congrats to my buddy Joe.
Yeah, and from a bullpup too, so he gets a little bit less of a sight radius there. Yeah, I know. You know, this was brought to my attention at Texas 3-Gun Championship, and I thought like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And then when I saw him on the squad list for Vortex Shooter Source, I was like, dang, like this guy's got like a death wish. And then he came out with the victory. It's pretty impressive.
You know, he's got the short sight radius and all that, but he also has, I believe, I'm not certain, but either a 22 or a 24-inch barrel in that sucker. So that helps a little bit, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that does help quite a bit.
Yeah, all right. Those things are cooking out of there for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so open division. This one got interesting. 37 shooters here. How'd that stack up, Tucker?
Yeah. You know, like a plague or something. Lately, everybody I know has been flipping into open. We even had a new open shooter win this. So third place we had Jared Halbert.
Yep.
OG Mr. James Gill. Everybody knows him. He's always kicking ass. And then little D Sleazy, Dylan Easley, slipping into open division and just crushing everybody. How about our buddy Dylan?
You know what? So when Amax and I did the walkthrough, we're looking at this and we saw Dylan in open, and I thought like, you're outclassed here, buddy, because at the time he didn't have a box shotgun. He was just going to run his his M2. Yeah. And so the first day I saw him, he had a dissonant KL12, and it was tank, or I guess, is it tank green? I don't know. It was some sort of dark color. I think it was green. Or maybe it was the gray one. I don't know. But I knew like, someone lent him a shotgun. Like this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, you're not going to shoot open division. I don't think anymore with a tube gun unless Jerry Mitchell can be competitive. He knew what he had to do and came in and executed. Really shot a well match. So congrats, Dylan. I'm just messing with you. I'm calling you sleazy. We love you.
Yeah, Dylan's fun to make fun of because he gives it right back. So he's a good sport about it.
That's correct.
But yeah, you got to hand it to the guy. His first, I guess, 3-gun match in open division, came out a win. Like that's impressive.
That's right, and it's a tough one. He had her and local Texas fellows that are known to be pretty good, and a new platform. He really did shoot a good match. I was definitely impressed, man. Not easy to do.
No, it's not, and good for him. I wish I could make fun of him more, but it's pretty impressive.
Right.
All right. So biggest division as usual. TAC Ops, 144 shooters finished this match, or finished the match in TAC Ops.
Right. So, stack division as usual. Third place, my buddy Joe Farewell came in and shot a pretty consistent match. I was proud of the kid. I mean, he came in, cleaned house. He's really been shooting good lately. He's cheating by shooting full time now, I think. At least that's what I call it. So he's getting faster. So I'm going to have to arrange another day a week to practice to try to keep up with that little sucker. So congrats to Joe. Second place, Daniel Jurassic. He's always a threat. And I think this is the first time in 3 years he did not come in first place.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think that's right. Okay. And then we got Kyle Litzy, which I'm sorry, Kyle, if that's pronounced incorrectly, but a lot of those guys from out of state were like, who the heck is this guy beating the hell out of all of us? He came in and just wiped the floor with TAC Ops, this kid.
Yeah, when I was walking to awards after, I was there filming the match, taking photos and stuff like that, so I wasn't looking at practice score like I usually do. And 3 people on my way to awards asked me, well, no, 2 people said, who's Kyle Litzy, and one was, who the F is Kyle Litzy? So I was like, oh, Kyle must have won his division.
Yeah, I was somewhere right between those two comments. I didn't know who he was, but I didn't drop the F-bomb. I don't think. But, man, great match, and congrats, dude. Daniel's a beast, Joe, and there's some other as well in that division. So he definitely pulled out a sick win.
Yeah, I mean, TAC Ops, pulling out a win in TAC Ops is no easy thing at any time, but especially this match. And when you kind of consider the last few years, Daniel Jurassic has been taking it home, and you think like, oh well, maybe this is his match, and he's got it
That's
here.
what I thought.
Yeah, and then Joe Farewell, like you said, Braxton 100% of the time, super hot. I think he moved up 15 spots from his finish last year, which is amazing. Yep. But yeah, Kyle Litzy's a California shooter.
They have rifles?
Yeah. I think he has to leave him in a locker on the border, I think,
okay. Hey, whatever. It's obviously working.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the first time I met Kyle was at Red October this last year, and then he's just had a great year. He's been doing really well, and ended up with a win in TAC Ops at the Vortex Shooter Source 3 Championship.
I'm jelly.
Hats off to him.
Yeah, congrats, dude. I'm jealous. Maybe next year.
Yeah, I feel good that we mentioned him in the walkthrough there, because I saw his name on the list here, and I'm like, oh, nobody's going to be looking for Kyle, so we got a good matchup here, and he pulled it out. It's pretty amazing. It's really impressive. Well done, Kyle.
There's a lot of folks that know who he is now for sure. Congrats, my dude.
Absolutely. All right, so other shooting opportunities. We had a night match. Tucker, did you shoot the night match?
I didn't have a lot of intel on that one, so I figured you were there. You can give us the spiel.
Yeah, so Brian Corey came in and set up 4 bay stages for the night match, and it's kind of interesting. The night matches that I've shot in the past have had some sort of like ambient light, or they'll be like red or blue or purple lights that are kind of off on the sides, like maybe they're pointing at the bays, and you can kind of see the targets, and then your weapon lights help you. This was just pitch ass black. There was no lights out there. The only thing we had were glow sticks on the humans, so you didn't shoot them. And
that's a good. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and then weapon lights. And so speaking of intel, I think I lost some intel along the way there for the night match. I heard early on there was going to be a PCC division, and maybe just due to not enough interest or something like that, it went away. But I only brought a PCC with me since I wasn't shooting the main match. So
God.
So I got lucky there. They let me shoot the PCC, and they're like, just don't shoot the clay pigeons, which ended up working out okay. So I actually won my division I was like James
Right.
Moore, only one in the in the division.
So I've only shot one other night match out there at Surefire, and it was the same way. And if you've never done it before, I definitely encourage you to try to find one because it's a cool experience. It's way slower, but freaking awesome. And I tried to make this one. I'm just old and tired these days. I was probably napping.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I didn't get back to the hotel till like 2 a.m, and then I had to be on the stage the same time as the shooters. Luckily, I didn't have to shoot, but I was so dog tired the next day. Oh, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I'm too old for 2 to 4 hours of sleep at night trying to perform.
Well, yeah, and then try to exactly, and then try to perform at a match. There was a winner of the main match I want to recognize, but I'm having trouble pulling it up in practice score right now. We'll do that at a later date. All right, so Tucker, Vortex Shooter Source 3 gun. Oh, we should also mention that there was a pre-match banquet with random draw prize table. That was good. They had tacos, which is awesome.
Yeah, those tacos were pretty good. So what they did, they kind of changed it up a little bit from their previous years. They did like a random draw style prize table pre-match. So everybody got there. Everybody comes Thursday match to kind of walk stages. So later that evening, you got everybody together. At least most of the people, I think, were all there. And they you filled out some tickets. You dropped your tickets in the bucket. Everybody got 6 tickets. Everybody, you dropped it into the buckets of the prizes that you wanted to win. Everything was laid out. And it seemed to be okay with the system. The only thing that I didn't agree with, just being honest, is some people won 5, 6, 7 things. Or 4, whatever it was. I didn't count, so don't quote me on that. But it seemed to work great. It was really quick at the end of the match because you didn't have this long, drawn-out prize table. I don't know how deep you want to go yet, but what did they do? Top 3 in the big divisions got prizes at the end for winners?
Yeah, top 3 got big prizes from Vortex Optics, and those were given away. I mean, like it was a set prize that was given away with their trophy after the match.
Yeah, and I believe it was Fury binoculars, which are awesome.
Yep.
So sick prize from Vortex.
Heck yeah, it is. All right. Okay. So dinner and a banquet the night before the match. All right. Now we can go on. Oh, by the way, we got a comment in the YouTube section. Someone complimenting my shirt. Yes, this is the 2019 match shirt that I'm wearing here. Total throwback to the 80s.
I knew they would love that. Especially, I don't know if you guys can tell, but that is actually Ruben 2018 Ruben do, as I like to call it. Flossing the pink shirt.
It's got the flowing mane back here. It looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, I recognize it.
All right, Tucker. Let's describe the match flavor. What's the match flavor for Vortex Shooter Source 3 gun?
So the match flavor is traditional Texas natural terrain match. So, I think the longest for the faster guys about 1.5 minutes. I'm sorry, 2 minutes, right around 2 minutes. So big long stages. The cool thing about this match, to me, that the match flavor column here is that they do a mulligan. So you can buy a mulligan before the match, $30. I think it goes to, was it like Task Force Dagger or something like that?
It's the We Defy Foundation, which is a
that's right, the We Defy.
Yeah, it's a similar type of thing to TFD. It supports a veterans. So
right, so everybody's more than willing to donate to those guys, especially in this world we're in. But the cool thing is, if you mess up on a stage, you can cash in at any time before you push approve and reshoot the stage. Hopefully you made a good choice and you save some time on that. But so that's a cool thing. And it's also really a low stress environment, right? Because there's coaching allowed too, which is cool about this match. A lot of people don't like the fact that there's coaching, but I think it's awesome. You bring a couple of your buddies to a bigger match that aren't quite so confident to shoot some of these harder matches, and you can really help them get through the stage. So all that kind of creates a super low stress environment. And I think it's awesome. It's a really good time. That's why I like that match so much.
Yeah, the mulligan is it adds its own little piece of strategy into the match, right? Because if you trash your first stage, like, did you trash it or did you just not do well? And then do you use it now or do you save it for the second day? it's tough to figure that out, and like it adds its own little element to it. And I definitely have enjoyed that in the years past, the having the mulligan. Although the first year I shot it, I was not aware that there was a mulligan, so I never purchased one. But until like,
wait, what?
At the beginning where everyone's handing over cash, and I'm like, what are you guys buying? And then they explained it to me. I'm like, oh, that would have been really helpful to have.
You got hosed.
Yeah,
that
totally.
Mulligan is touching on what you were just saying was you can really burn that mulligan in the wrong spot. Last year, I forgot my shell caddy on my chest rig. I get down through the stage. Somebody had noticed, ran it down to me. It wasn't bad, but since I forgot my chest rig, in my mind, I have blown that stage. So, yep, cash in the mulligan, shoot it again. Just destruction. I think I saved 2 seconds or something ridiculous, you know. And then other people, you know, 30 seconds, you know, the rifle malfunction. It really creates a cool environment for the flavor of the match, I think. So it adds another technical skill type kind of thing.
Yeah, it saves you from like catastrophic mechanical malfunctions, but then it also puts that little spot in your head of like, can I do better? And then you have to deal with you know, the classic reshoot gods, right?
That's the big one.
Yeah, so it's a fun aspect of it. I like that. All right, man. Skills utilized. What are the skills that you need to shoot the Vortex Shooter Source 3-Gun Championship?
Well, I think anytime you go to Texas, it's safe to say that you should know your rifle, your holdovers, and all that good stuff, because there is a ton of long-range targets. Another thing they did this year in this match was, what were they, 35-yard bird shot on that one stage?
Yeah.
So a full choke with number 6s was even questionable at times for me and a couple of guys on our squad.
And are you talking about the one from the tower that you were shooting the plates from the tower? So that was at an angle too, right? So now you're not – now you have to deal with that, and you're dealing with the targets are really far away. I was really surprised to hear people's choke selection on that, because I was over there shooting video and stuff and asking people – because like as I was walking up, I'm like, where do you shoot those plates from? And they're like, oh, you shoot them from up there. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a full choke.
That's legit.
Yeah,
right.
I immediately thought like that's a full choke, and guys were like, oh, you know, I got a light mod. I'm like, light mod? Like, are you kidding me?
Not close.
No. So I saw several mulligans used on that one on the very first stage of the weekend. So
yeah, I believe it. So the interesting thing about that stage also, as far as skills utilized, was so you had those plates that I didn't laze them or walk them, I'm guessing 30 to 35 yards for the most part. So after you shoot all those plates down, then you have what, 3 birds to shoot, flyers?
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a lot of people getting hurt feelings stage for missing birds, shooting a, you know, tight little pattern at those suckers. And outside of that, sorry, I mean to cut you off there. Are you saying something?
No, man, I was going to agree with you that you know, so you're dealing with like you know, needing a really tight pattern for those heavy plates, and they were set heavy. They were not, or one of the poppers was set really heavy, and it wasn't
really heavy.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were easy. Like I saw guys double tapping them with a full choke, and then it was just kind of like eking over. But then it, you know, tossed a couple clays in the air. You had a clay thrower on a stomp pad activator. So then those, you know, you're swapping from like really hard aiming, knocking plates over to now you're like trying to get birds with that same choke, and then you throw in 4 slugs, right? So now, like, have you ever patterned your slugs with a full choke? I hope you know where that hits.
And I heard that it must be more than 15 times. You're going to shoot slugs through your full choke? I'm like, yeah, shoot slugs through all my chokes. So apparently a lot of people, that was definitely their first time and thought it was going to, you know, be some magic voodoo or something that happened. But it does fine. I mean, I would definitely do it beforehand before you get to a match, just so you know, in case it happens. But it shot fine, and it was funny how many people thought that was going to be a huge deal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I've experienced that before. I've actually experienced that before with people like, is it okay to shoot through a mod choke? Like, I hope so, because I just did, you know? But
do it all the time, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't. So on a tube-fed shotgun, you know, ask your gunsmith, but I certainly wouldn't hesitate to shoot slugs, especially low recoil slugs, 1350s or 1200s or whatever it is, through a full choke. It's never been a problem for me.
No, myself either. And then, so outside of it, that's the thing. So they had super long slugs, I believe, out to 100 yards or so. Lots of slugs. Well, actually, there wasn't too many. What was there, 10 required or something like that? Does that sound right to you?
That sounds about right.
Okay, so roughly around 10 required, and then lots of long pistol shots as well. One thing he does is that I thought was pretty slick was uses mostly pistol steel for the majority of the part at the end of the stage, right? So while you're shooting steel and maybe shooting a rifle at the end, everybody else is reset and ready to go. And I was pretty stoked on how smooth the match ran the whole time. I mean, every time we got to a stage, it was, half hour, 45 minutes early. And I think that was largely due to those challenging pistol shots, which were steel, which of course there's no reset at the end of each stage. So I thought that was pretty cool. But for those, out to 100?
Yeah. Yeah, those that match is like notorious for that, and so you've got like 100 seconds of shooting on the clock before you get to those long pistol shots, and so yeah, exactly. So you're huffing and puffing and trying to wing those steals with a 9mm. So yeah, that's definitely a skill that you need when you come to this match, like slugs, long range rifle for sure. How many long range rifle shots do we have? Like I know on that stage 7 with the tower that you were talking about, there was like 17 long range right out there just on that stage alone.
Right. So I think you guys do like over 200 is classified as long range, and I believe there was 31 listed on the count. So 31 of those, and I think you're right. There was 16 or 17 something along that on that one stage, which that's what they're notorious for. They're always going to have one of those. So those of you that are clever, in my opinion, will definitely have a spotter or a caller calling out your target, either distance or order or whatever target you're on, some way to know where you don't get lost out there when your scope's cranked up to 6 power or whatever it is. So the other thing is they had a crap load of targets between that 100, 200 yard range as well in a couple stages.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of misleading. You're like, there's 31 targets, 10 stages, like that's about 3 per. Well, no, because like that one had 17. And then, once you get to the ones that have like the targets between 100 and 200, it ends up being like a high round count of rifle.
And they were really, a lot of them, I don't know what they were, maybe those little prairie dogs or something, real small targets. So, I mean, there were some I believe it was a stage 10, and there was like 15 or 16 or so targets on that stage as well, mostly between, that 100, 200 yard mark. So those are some tough shots when that's on a prairie dog at the end of a stage laying on a roof, or whatever those are that you lay on.
Yeah, I saw that. I was chatting with Aaron Hayes, who's RO on that stage, and I was like, well, this looks like just a bunch of dead hold gimmies. And he's like, nah, you're looking at the indicator cards. Like the targets are the small things in front of them. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah, and that's where those iron guys really. I don't envy those fellas at all, because that's a tough shot. I can't see them without looking through my scope.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it, but there are definitely some tough rifle shots at the whole match.
Yeah, man, and you were talking about prairie dogs. Like there was pigs, there was coyotes, and those are all misleading targets, right? Because you have, well, I guess I'll just use my phone. Like you have like the body, and then you have like legs and a tail and head and stuff like that, and all that looks like. When you add in the legs and the tail, you're like, oh, that's like a 12 to 16 inch target. But like really the scoring zone, the only place you can hit is pretty small, and when you think of like, I'm just going to include that because your mind wants to include that whole thing as one target. But really you have to look at just the body as a target, because you can't count on hitting a leg.
No, if you're aiming for that leg, you've done something wrong. or if you hit the leg, you got lucky, something along those lines. But they had a whole farm out there, and some of those things are pretty tough to shoot at. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that same stage you're talking about with Aaron on it, I had a really hard time on one of those stupid targets, and shot the stage great and just camped out on one of those little suckers for way too long. So they're definitely misleading, like you said.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were having trouble on one target out there, because the last day when I got there was like a hole dug right in front of one target on that whole stage of just constant 5.56, just throwing a melee at that thing.
That was probably my target.
Yep, yep,
I'm probably
probably.
half of that hole that was dug.
All right, so we always ask about terrain. So how would you describe the terrain of this match?
So it was, like I said, 100% natural terrain. It's typical Texas terrain. So caliche, super hard, lots of rocks and stuff like that. And fortunately for us, I say fortunately because it makes it interesting, it was raining for like a solid week before the match, I would guess, or maybe 2 years. I don't know. There was probably solid, 5 inches to a foot of mud on a couple of those stages. The majority of the stages, I mean, we were just tromping through slop, man. It was rugged goo. And it made for some interesting slipping and sliding, but everybody had to deal with it. In my opinion, those are the things you remember at the end of a match that kind of make it interesting, you know?
Yeah, man, it was definitely interesting to watch people managing the mud. Like, it was definitely something that had to be dealt with. It wasn't just like, oh, some people were affected by the mud. It was like everybody was freaking affected by the mud. It was pretty incredible. And it was just like absolutely everywhere. And it was gear, it was slipping, it was sliding, like it was absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, there's no floating across the top of that stuff. I mean, it was just grody, and you know, luckily I only saw one or two people kind of fall down from it, but for the most part, everybody did okay. It just slows you way down when you're on your feet. You know?
Yeah,
there's no getting around it. You got to be careful and keep the gun pointed in the right direction and just keep everything safe. And I think most people did a pretty good job of managing that.
Yeah, well, and then when one thing I noticed is that when people get to like climbing a ladder or going in and out of a bus or whatever, like other man-made obstacles that are out there on the range, they want to go fast because they're out of the mud, but they forget that they've got mud all over their feet, and so now it's just like even more slippery. So I saw some people almost fall off a ladder a few times, trip going upstairs and stuff. So it's something that's like constant that you have to be cognizant of. I got lucky.
Yeah.
Vance at Freedom Power Sports lent me a side-by-side to troll the range in, so I didn't get my truck stuck once, but there was a lot of stuck vehicles out there.
Yeah, I saw you guys riding around in those cozy little mud buggies. I'm like, well, how come we don't have one of those?
Yeah. It was awesome. I got lucky. I was really happy to have it.
You know, and touching on your slippery thing, I don't know if you were there or if you know the guy. I actually sat and talked to him for a little while, but he had the mud on his shoes thing on that same tower stage. I believe it was, don't quote me, but I think it was 9 where you go up, the same one we were talking about earlier with the
that was 8.
Steel, and 8. Yep. And then he ran up the stairs, did okay, and then when he went down a step, which was only about a foot tall, his foot actually slipped and he fell and dislocated. Did you hear that story?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
So he's go. Okay, I was sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, he showed me the video on that, and his feet boom, straight up in the air. And the cool thing was, you know, he went to the hospital, came back, and I think he still shot for the remainder of the match, just real slow and careful, but he still finished. You know, he spent the money he wanted to shoot, and I thought that was super cool. I don't know his name, but hats off to you, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like a tool. I was talking to him on a stage, but and I completely spaced on his name too. But yeah, so he dislocated his shoulder, goes to the hospital, like you said, misses the stage because, you know, his squad moves on without him, comes back, starts shooting with them again, picks up the stage the next day, finished the whole match with a dislocated shoulder. Like he's walking around in a sling and then takes it out when it's time to shoot. It's like, you might want to go chill out there, buddy.
Yeah, that's probably not good for you in the long run, but hey, definitely an admirable trait. You know, I look up to him for being able to struggle through that, man. I know it hurts, so.
Yeah, that's for sure.
How he made it.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out here is the stage 9 that we were talking about. A lot of people were eating it going down this hill. It was really slippery, and then you go into a dry creek bed, shoot a bunch of targets, and then you run up this dry creek bed and then run up a hill. Well, that was a dry creek bed for years until Friday night when it rained, and then Saturday morning, apparently it was just full of mud and water, and they had to throw that stage out, unfortunately.
Yeah, we walked that stage pre-match Thursday, and it was already a soup fest, and I was like, man, this is going to be sketchy. And so a couple of squads shot it, the first day, and then we were actually going to shoot that first squad second day, or second squad, something like that. And Jeremy was pretty good about communication, sent everybody an email. Unfortunately, we had already woke up in the morning and we're heading to the range, so got the email. Unfortunately, we lost the stage, didn't get to shoot it. And sometimes that's just the nature of the beast in outdoor sports. I mean, you just got to deal with it. But looked awesome. Jeremy had a great idea, but Mother Nature is a bitch. Sorry.
That's for sure. All right, so we talked about skills utilized, natural terrain. Okay, so we got into this a little bit here, but farthest shot, number of long-range shots. We figure 31 shots between 200 and 600 yards on your rifle. Longest shot was 100 yards on the pistol, 90 yards on slugs, and about 35 on bird shot. So let's talk about the logistics. We already talked about the prize table and stuff. So check-in, scoring, how was all that stuff?
So Jeremy uses his practice score, which I think everybody kind of should nowadays. That's so easy, quick. You can squad, you can pay and do all the things. I believe you did pay on practice scores as well, correct?
Yeah.
And so logistics, man, he's got it down to a science. I mean, those guys know what they're doing. He's got a great team of ROs and stuff to help with the stages. I mean, they're all friendly. They know what they're doing. I mean, there's none of that, what he said, she said kind of thing. I mean, it all just ran really smoothly. Is that under the facility also? I mean, 4 mile run. I mean, he lays all the rules out. I mean, everybody knows don't speed on the road, get there. I mean, everything's at the shop. I mean, I'm kind of losing my thought here. I don't know. I got lost there, Dave. Straighten me out.
I agree from a shooter perspective, like having shot this the last 2 years, missing this year. Yeah, Jeremy really does have it down to like a fine science, and he's got the crew to back him up on it. It's great. And then having the pro shop open this year, where his daughter was, you can go in, check in, we got our match shirts at the banquet. But they had all kinds of gear in there and stuff that you could buy if you forgot your sling swiveler stuff. I mean, logistics pretty simple from my perspective, everything that I saw.
Yep, I agree 100%. It's always cool to have a place on site where if you lose a mag pen or a spring or anything like that, I mean,
yeah,
it's right there on site. So, I mean, I think, in my opinion, he's got it down as good as it can get. I mean, really hats off to Jeremy. He does a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. He lives it every day. All right, so let's talk about the venue, Triple C Range. What can you say about Triple C Range?
It's just not fair that we all don't have a place like this to shoot. I'm so jealous of those guys in Texas and the place they get to shoot on the regular. I mean, it is just unbelievable. They have, for one, I mean, it's beautiful, right? They have, coming in, I think it's 3-4 miles, lots of wildlife to check out. Sometimes they come up to your car and let you play with them and stuff like that. I don't know if that's recommended, but just beautiful coming in, right? So then you get it. I mean, you see this little area over here where there's just, 1,000-yard rifle range with targets every 100 yards all the way out. Then you go another block or two, and there's another one, same thing all the way out. I mean, the place is just incredible. And they have bays too. So, I mean, as far as a shooting facility is, they top notch, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. By the way, it also has two 2,000-yard lanes.
It's just not fair.
No. Yeah, it's Triple C Range is amazing. I can't remember the acreage that Jeremy told me. I always forget this. I need to look it up. But yeah, like you said, wildlife when you're coming in. I don't know if you can call them wildlife when they have tags in their ears, but they have like Texas Longhorns, mules. Can we call them jackasses? Let's just call them jackasses. And
yeah. That's fair.
and all kinds of other stuff, but definitely wildlife for sure. There's snakes out there, coyotes, armadillos. There's all kinds of. It's absolutely incredible. If you haven't been to Triple C, I know that it's like Texas is pretty far from everywhere because everything in Texas is actually far from everything else in Texas. But it's it's one of those places like you got to put it on your list of places to shoot. If you're like a precision shooter, you can find a match there. You know, if you're a pistol shooter, you can find a match there. If you're a 3-gun shooter, obviously Vortex Shooter Source 3 guns is the way to go. But they have matches all throughout the year as well. In fact, I'm going to go hit some club matches starting next month up there. It's only about a 2.5 hour drive from where I'm at in Round Rock, and it's really worth it when you think about the venue and the type of match that Jeremy puts on.
Yeah, that's a small drive in Texas, isn't it? 2.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that place is legit. And then, you know, I got a buddy, Bill Carmichael, that lives out there. He's invited me out on countless times. Just come out and shoot for a weekend. I just need to do it because, man, that place is rad. I mean, you want to figure out how to shoot a rifle, that's definitely a place to go.
Yeah, exactly. And the place will definitely make you a better rifle shooter. Yeah, when you come down, give me a shout, man. I'll come shoot with you.
Deal. I'll take you up on that.
All right. So, okay. We should also mention that it's pretty close to some like smaller mid-sized towns, Weatherford and Granbury, where there's Airbnbs and hotels and things like that. You'll probably fly into Dallas Fort Worth and
yep, or Dallas. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Dallas Love also. I think that's where we normally fly, but there's plenty of B&Bs and, like you said, hotels and stuff within half hour. So I mean, as far as just getting a place to stay, I mean, there's always room somewhere, and it's great for that. 2 airports within an hour. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, and there's several lakes nearby too. So if you've got like a group of friends that you're going with, I would highly suggest the VRBO or the Airbnb, and go ahead and get something on the lake there, and you won't be disappointed.
That's exactly what we did. I mean, we crashed on the lake, and it was legit. I mean, the deal is it's usually way cheaper to do.
Yeah.
You know, you get 5 or 6 buddies together, and you crash in a sick house for the weekend, and just kind of barbecue and enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
And save money.
It's incredible that you can save money and live like a better lifestyle than you live back home.
Right.
All right. So you happen to hear that he sent out a matchbook as well.
Yep, I did get a match as well. And it was pretty accurate. You know, he didn't do big crazy diagrams, which I don't think you need to do anyways. I mean, as long as it gives you the basics of the stage and the round counts, you can kind of get a good idea off of that. So,
gotcha.
Like I said, man, he's on it as far as that stuff goes.
All right, so that rounds out pre-communication. All right, so how was the staff?
And I kind of touched on this a little bit ago. I honestly can't think a staff member at this match has really given anybody a hard time. They understand there that it's customer service. You are the customer as a shooter, and I really think they step out of their way to go above and beyond to kind of help you have a good time, you know?
Yeah.
So I think they were really, really awesome there.
Well, and I think that that flows down from Jeremy. Like, you know, that he and I have spoken several times on the podcast and off that's just like his philosophies. He knows these are entertainment dollars and people can spend them anywhere they want. So it's cool to see that the culture he's built at North Texas Multigun and at Triple C have, you know, permeated into the match as well. I saw a lot of smiles and people having a good time with ROs, even, you know, wearing muck boots and sliding around and tromping through, you know, 8 inches of sludgy mud throughout the entire weekend. So, I mean, that's cool to see.
It sure makes the match a lot funner, especially when you're dealing with crappy conditions, right? Like I can think of a handful of times where, you know, we're basically playing practical pranks on the RO to us, you know, maintaining professionalism but, you know, kicking back and enjoying it as well, you know. So that definitely adds to the match experience, in my opinion. Definitely fun.
Absolutely. All right, so what's the fun factor? We usually call this one the Dave factor, but we'll call this the Tucker factor.
The Tucker factor. That's
Tucker
got a nice
factor,
ring
yeah.
to it, Dave. Much better than the Dave factor. I've got to be honest.
I totally agree, man. You're not wrong.
So the fun factor, I guess that would be like random things that were fun at the match, correct?
Yeah, I mean, did you enjoy the match? You know, this is really subjective. So this is like your your perspective overall. If you want to break it down into like, oh, this array was cool and this array wasn't, feel free to. But if you want to break it down into like an overall match experience, do that too. But just what was your perception of the match, and what was the fun factor? Was it like fun factor was here or fun factor was here kind of thing?
I'd say, that match, I've been there the last 3 years. It's pretty similar within a couple simple things, but I always love that match. I mean, it's a challenging match. It's going to challenge the best shooters and be, good enough or, simple enough per se for the novice shooter to come and have a good time get through the match with coaching. And, I brought some guys with me that had never been, and they loved it too. But I mean, the challenging shots is what I kind of like, right? Like, I love the burner stuff, and that's one thing I caught it was kind of maybe lacked it with some rifle burner stuff. But that being said, it was muddy and crappy out, and pasting and that stuff is just a pain in the butt. So I really did enjoy myself there. I'd say the fun factor was definitely high. I'll be back again. Like the challenging rifle stuff is what I live for, because here in Florida, we, at every match we have 1 or 2 stages that are challenging like that. Maybe in a match of 10. I mean, this match has 4 or 5 long range stages every year, and I definitely appreciate being able to do that.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. So I enjoyed it big time for sure, and I'll definitely come back to it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'll give you the fun factor on the night match. So I totally understand where you're coming from of like, I find it difficult to do things in the morning now when I've been staying up till 2 a.m. as well. And that's probably like a function of age. But I had a great time at the night match. And the night match was like super relaxed, which is kind of weird because like you can't really see what's going on, but you're just like telling jokes, having a good time. Eventually, they brought in some music, so we're listening to music on the stage while we're shooting and everything. We just had like a good, relaxed Texas time. It was a lot of fun, and it's good to hear that you enjoyed the match as well. So it's kind of incredible. Like I feel like when the challenge goes up, like my enjoyment of the match goes up. Do you feel like that as well? Like something has to be difficult for you to enjoy it?
I think to an extent, I really do like the challenging stages and stuff like that, and harder shots. And I think it's a marksmanship challenge, these matches we're going to. And I think if you don't challenge marksmanship, then you're missing the point. I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like just, hoser, go fast. You can, land the fastest in the drag race too. I kind of like a good mix of all of that, So I thoroughly enjoy the harder stuff. I know that may not be the most popular opinion, but I definitely do. So I think you did a great job with stage design, in my opinion. Yeah, I like the hard stuff, kind of.
That's great. Well, I think harder stuff makes for better shooters as well. So, there's been times where I've walked away from a stage just like, so upset, like I'm gonna quit. I suck at this. I don't even know why I'm out here. Everyone thinks I'm an idiot. And then looking back on like those times, like those were really easy challenges. So, or for Dave in 2019, right? So now I would just look at those like chip shots. So I wouldn't, if you were at this match and you're frustrated with like your finish or, stage results or whatever, focus that, man. Let it turn, into like a motivation to train. And I don't know. I enjoy the marksmanship challenges. I enjoy the difficult shots. I enjoy the difficult positions and things like that. And I think that makes for better matches. I like matches that don't apologize for being difficult.
Right. And his way to combat that, I think, is to allow coaching and a mulligan. I mean, that's a perfect way to get somebody to shoot these more challenging stages and stuff. I mean, touch on what you were saying a minute ago. First time you see like a Texas Star or a spinning target or something like that, like, oh my God, what's that? And, I see people do it every week at our local matches, and, you show them how to shoot it. You're going to suck at it for a little bit, but, now I don't even think twice, right? It's just bing, 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 bing. You're going to get better if you challenge yourself, and that's in practice and in matches. And I definitely appreciate matches that do that.
Yeah, well, and you touched on coaching, which I completely forgot about. By the way, night match, there was more heckling than coaching. But anyway, that might have just been my squad. I was with Dylan.
No,
I was with Dylan easily. So. But yeah, so when you add in the coaching aspect of it, now you take something that like could wreck a dude's match. Like, have you ever? You've probably seen this, Tucker. Like when someone gets down like on a barricade and they've got their barrel of their rifle rested on it, they're effed, right? They're not gonna hit that target. But throw in coaching, and you can be like, Tucker, get your barrel off that barricade, put it on the handguard, boom, he's up there, right? Now, if he doesn't have his arm on his knee in reverse kneel and it's just kind of hanging out there, it's going to be a little tough. But you can say that, Tucker, get your arm on your knee, and now on the clock, he can make those changes and get through that stage. Sure, it costs him a little more time. He's not going to be running for first in that sense, but he wouldn't be doing it anyway. But you can help people through that and changes from like a complete train wreck of a match to actually completing it. And now there's like also this little aspect of camaraderie because like, dude, Tucker really helped me out on that stage. That's awesome. You know, I didn't even know that guy, but he shouted, get your arm on your leg. And, you know, I did. And then I was able to hit the shot. So I like that aspect of it a lot.
Right. And that's kind of why I recommend people like, you know, if you're a top shooter, just a middle of the pack guy that's really enjoying the game. I mean, bring somebody out that's a little newer to the harder matches, to the bigger 2-day, 3-day matches. And this is a great one. You know, it's the only coaching one that I know of, but this is a good one to really bring somebody out and kind of introduce them to that level of match without them getting too flustered and crazy.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. I can't think of another one either. I know team matches, you know, pretty much by nature allow coaching, but I can't think of another one as well. That's a good. You know, Generation 3 Gun allows coaching for 18 and under.
For juniors, right?
Yeah, for juniors,
and that's a good one for juniors too. And I think it's an important part of the sport to try to, you know, the biggest thing about overcoming hurdles, in my opinion, this game is trying to get over your nerves to come to that first local match, and then after that, your first major match. You know, once you get there, you realize like, what the heck was I afraid of? Everybody's awesome, and it's really not a big deal. But to overcome that anxiety at first, I think, is a lot of people's biggest hurdle.
Yeah, seriously, man, and. You know, if you're listening, you haven't been to your first match yet, go. You're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
And then write me an email and tell me about it. I want to hear it. I want to hear your first match story.
That's right. take video so you can remember it in a few years. You know.
Absolutely.
See how far you've come. But yeah, get out and do it, man. There's no better way than just anything. You know, just jump in both feet and see what happens. I can promise you, you're gonna enjoy yourself.
Hell yeah. Here. All right, so Tucker, my favorite part of the Match Recon, funny things that happened at the match. You got Mudgate written down here.
Mudgate / AKA Minivan Mafia. I mean, things got real bad. It was myself, my buddy Thomas Query, Stephen King in my van, and then we had our Kel-Tec buddies, Danny, Nick, Joe, and my boy Hammer in the other. And you know, I don't think we checked the forecast too well. Or if we did, we didn't pay attention to it. But we got a couple of minivans. So there's two of us dodos driving around the range in these grocery getters, you know, soccer mom style minivans. And we saw a truck, 4x4 trucks getting stuck. We're like, we can do it. Let's do it. Let's go. So, you know, this worked, you know, a day and a half into the match. Like, minivans were getting us where we needed to go. And all these guys were like, how'd you get that van back here? Well, because it's boss. So we got the minivans back to most of these spots. And I think it was stage 2. I mean, we knew we shouldn't have been in there, but it looked okay. You know, there was a nice kind of hard path where we could not. And so we come in there full speed, get up to our parking spot. You know, Joe and them and Kel-Tec boys weren't with us. And as soon as we stopped, we're like, we're effed. We're never getting out of here. We are so stuck. So, you know, a couple minutes later, we turn around. Here comes minivan number 2 through the mud and cruises up into their spot. They get out like, we're effed. We're not getting out of here. So, sure enough,
let me pause you real quick and paint a picture for the audience that wasn't there. So we're not talking about like mud. We're talking about cow pasture. We're talking about like ranch pasture, virgin untouched ranch pasture that has been rained on for a week, 2 weeks in a state that already has like a really high water table. So now you're talking about, we're not kidding. Like there was like 6 to 8 inches of soupy mud on top that like when you put your foot in just sinks right up to your ankle and spreads like pudding. Like imagine driving your minivan on 8 inches of chocolate pudding all over the range. Like that's what we're talking about. There was a bobcat and a tractor stationed at opposite ends of the range to tow people out, and they were running full time on the day of the walkthrough and on Saturday. Like they were burning fuel, towing people out.
Oh,
take it away, Tucker.
Yeah, no, I that was a good way to describe it. It was like this ultra thick, slimy pudding. I mean, that's exactly what it was. A little thicker than pudding, but it was just gross. And, nothing could, every time you took a step, your foot would slide 3 inches, in one direction or the other. So we get to that stage, we realize we're kind of screwed. And, we go shoot the stage, finish up. And of course, Nick, which is, all the Keltec guys are kind of pranksters, but Nick is a special fella. So he goes, he figures I'll just go get the van. So he gets their van, goes about 10 feet, just stuck. And walk back. I'm like, Nick, did you just do what I thought you did? He's like, maybe. I might be good. So basically it comes down, we finish, we all try to get in our vans and go. And of course we are all just in the snot, like 10 out, and we are not going anywhere. So eventually, I forget. So they pushed my van out and we go around this tree. Oh my God, it was so bad. So they kind of pushed me backwards of the way we needed to go. And there was a little dry spot there and it was downhill. So we figured we could get there. So they get me down the hill to the somewhat kind of hard road without incident, right? Nothing too crazy. And then I sling around this tree and front wheel drive. I turn the truck control off and this RO's van is sitting like 15 feet off to the side of where I'm cutting through. And I just turned, and you just see this mud litter all over the RO's car. And I can't stop. I'm just like, sorry, drifting by. And then, he's probably, and it was his personal vehicle, he's from Texas. So he lived there. That was his car. And it's probably still full of crud. So, get around the corner. Luckily, the Keltec guys knew him. He was a good sport. I apologize and all that. But so we get stuck again. And by this point, there's, a whole crowd of people lined up in their cars watching this whole thing go down. And one of the guys like, well, open the doors so more people can push. So we had like 10 people there pushing each of us. So, everybody's pushing. I get going. And then finally it gets to the point where I try to turn. And, oh, my God, Joe Easter. He turned into Chewbacca from Star Wars. I mean, he had so much crud all over him, in his face, on his eyes. I mean, everybody was coated. As soon as those wheels turned, anybody that was on the wrong side of that thing just got slicked up the face. I mean, you can look on my Facebook page and see some of the pictures, or maybe you'll post it if you have them. But it was just crazy. I mean, those vans, we had to pressure wash inside and out. I mean, they were just coated with crud. I mean, it was – I'm glad that wasn't my personal vehicle. We'll put it that way. I mean, it was a good time though.
Oh man. So were these rental vehicles?
Yes, Dave.
So
100% rental vehicles.
all this is allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, this happened.
It could have been a dream.
It's probably a dream.
Yeah. Allegedly. I like that. But we I didn't see what the Keltec guys did with their vehicle after they were done, but I'm sure they cleaned it up and tried to return it. We made ours look pretty as we could, and you should have seen the car wash though, man. There was just like a mountain of crud as we pull out there. It's like trying to get out from all the mud piled off. But it's like I said, man, these crappy experiences when you're in it, like, oh God, we're tired, we don't want to push. Those are the things that really make the match that much better. Hanging with your buddies, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I like to say, like, you never remember the match where everything went right. Hey, you remember that one match where the weather was perfect, everything went right, and we shot good?
No, that's what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
that's right.
It's funny. So, what do we like? We're like 3 weeks out from the match, right? So last week I went to Hayes Custom Guns up in Liberty Hill to pick up some shotgun springs, and their parking lot just had like a field of mud that had fallen off all their trucks during the day, like as it was drying, it was just falling off. And there's like 3 parking spots. You're like, oh, you can tell the guys that went to the match.
Right. Yeah, you know who's who. Because, I've been to matches like that with my own truck, and there's just mud creeped in there for the next month or two. Dripping out as it rains, and
like 3 years.
Those are the ones you remember.
3 years ago, Generation 3 gun was like that. It was so soupy, muddy, and then that was my old 1500 pickup truck, and it had so much mud in there. And then just like a month later, Tucker, I don't know if you know this story, but like I was having a rear end replaced at a shop, and they dropped it off a lift, and so it fell off the lift. And in the photos, there was mud everywhere. like when it fell, like it and knocked all that mud off the bottom. And then when I
did hear that story, yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And when I sold that truck, like it still had Generation 3 gun mud on it. It's pretty intense. So I'll tell you, so for me, I got lucky. I got a side-by-side, Freedom Power Sports. Check them out. All your power sports needs in DFW. So super grateful for that. But so I just drove my truck in every day and then switched into that thing and drove around. But there's this pond that's over by the pro shop, and I've never seen the water go up over the road, but the water was up over the road for 3 days straight. And some days, more water than others, but you had to cross that little water thing. And so I crossed that probably 10 times over the weekend. And on the way home, my truck just crapped out, stopped running, wouldn't turn over, wasn't getting fuel. And turned out the power programmer in there shorted out. So I don't know if that thing took water or something as I was going through the water crossing, or something like that. But yeah, so I had my own little failure thanks to the weather that we got.
I believe it, and you were right, man. No, Freedom Power Sports, those guys put up, man. I don't know how many of those buggies there were, but every time I turned around, there was another one of those going by. And I really wanted to take somebody's because I felt like our squad needed one. We didn't get one, but, like you said, hats off to those dudes, man. We always appreciate the guys that are helping us out in the game. And next time, and that crud.
Yeah. Call ahead and reserve one, I guess, is the
there you go.
The thing that you learn from that. All right, so Tucker, are you going to shoot it again next year?
I've been there. This is my 3rd one in a row, and I'll definitely be back, man. I like the vibe. I like the low stress kind of environment, the coaching and the mulligans, kind of bring to the table. It's more of a laid back kind of fun match, man. And after being serious at all these other ones, I think it's kind of nice to kind of shoot the crap with the buddies at this one. Kind of create a nice environment to hang with your boys, and girls.
Yeah, I dig it as well. It's one of my favorite matches of the year, and there's 3 that are on my private do not touch list, and this is definitely one of them. So I love to shoot this match. Didn't get to shoot it this year. Got to shoot the night match. Got to be a part of it. So that was great. So Tucker, anything you want to add to your match recon?
Man, I think we wrapped up pretty good. Big thanks to Jeremy and of course Vortex Optics for being a sponsor. We really like that do the most for our sport. Vortex in particular, I don't think I've been to a match that they haven't sponsored. So if you guys need some optics, definitely show them some love, check them out, and my man.
All right, well, so that wraps up the match recon for the Vortex Shooter Source 3-Gun Championship as given to us by Tucker Schmidt. Tucker, thanks for being a part of the show, man. Appreciate having you here.
Dave, I really appreciate it, my man. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out, my dude. I really do appreciate it.
Right on. Well, thank you for that. All right, and for everyone listening, we appreciate you hanging in here with us, and hope to see you at the Vortex Shooter Source 3-Gun Championship next year, and we'll see you on the range. Thanks for listening to the 3-Gun Show. If you like this type of content, you can support us on a monthly basis for as little as $5 by subscribing on Patreon at 3gunshow.com/Patreon. You can also give your business to the companies that support the 3-Gun Show, including Vortex Optics, IWI, and JP Rifles. Until next week, I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.